Well, it's great to see you on this Monday, this Remembrance Day, as we take a moment or more to pay tribute. Of course, that's been going on across the country today and around the world. Sweeps of low pressure clearly off the Pacific coast and coming through Ontario, and it's bringing snow. And snow is moving into southern Ontario as we speak. Now, is there snow for the commute? Chrissy Van will be along in just a couple of moments to fill us in. Snow squall watches and warnings where we think the weather will be more adverse or most adverse into the overnight hours. And it's really in the overnight after supper that the winds will be picking up out of the north behind the front, and moisture will be streaming in off Georgian Bay and Lake Huron. So Grand Bend and Goderich, whiteout conditions, and Barrie, Innisfil, sections of the 400, whiteout conditions with snow squalls possible down through not just Cookstown, but Newmarket, and maybe even down towards the north end of Richmond Hill and Oak Ridges. Blue areas on the map here on the radar are showing some snow. So we are in the process of changing over with rain showers, it looks like, for the Golden Horseshoe, for the Toronto region, the GTA right now. Forecast accumulations, 10 centimeters, certainly possible. We are getting colder both in the air and the surface, and that ground surface has to be cold enough for it to stick, whether it's frozen ground or frozen asphalt. I think you're going to need to make sure you've got the scraper and mitts and everything ready for tomorrow morning, because our temperatures are turning sharply colder. Now, I want to talk about the Arctic air, but I do want to take a moment to remember and to pay tribute, as so many of you have done today. And of course, the bagpipes playing at the last post today in Ottawa and in so many places on this Remembrance Day. Now, the cold air, and we get back to your forecast now. Oh, you want to see those numbers again? Well, I don't know if you do or not, but there they are. It'll feel like the minus double digits tonight. -3 for Toronto, feeling close to -10. Cold air plunging in, and our daytime highs are going to be below normal for the next couple of days. That means 2 degrees for Tuesday, warming to near 10 by Friday, but a wind chill. Please be prepared for that. All right, coming up, you haven't seen snow like that yet? Well, get ready, because it's coming. And for some of you, I think you're going to see your first, I know some of you will be seeing your first round of, looks like a blizzard out there. In other words, snow squalls coming tonight. In fact, if we look at the radar right now, snow in blue, rain in green. This is a wide perspective, coming down through Batchewana Bay and Sault Ste. Marie, remembering, of course, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And on the weekend, Chris St. Clair and Natalie, they were doing a really interesting chat about the witches of November, these big storms we often get, these gales on the Great Lakes in the month of November. Well, the winds are driving in some snow now off Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, and that's why we've got watches and warnings. Chrissy, I'm going to break that down a little more coming up with the forecast, but right now the roads so far.
Yeah, we've gotten lucky so far, Suzanne. We're just seeing a little bit of wet conditions on some of the roadways, but typical afternoon drive for the Monday. But Suzanne, it has been a little bit on the lighter side, given that some people are off today for Remembrance Day.
That's a good point, Chrissy. And then coming down the 400, yeah, it's going to be the snow going this way, but less volume, I guess, going north for some of you. How much snow? 2 to 5 centimeters in general. And in the snow belts, this could be over 15 for areas off Lake Huron. We could see some flurries around the northern extent of the GTA. And when? Well, it's fairly imminent. The front's coming through this evening overnight. The wind chills are going down. The temperatures are going down. Calgary goes up tomorrow. We'll go down to just 2 degrees. Well, find the low pressure system. Oh yes, you can see one, can't you? Curled up in northern Ontario, cold front sweeping down through the south. I can see a couple more very clearly defined Pacific low, more active weather coming to the west. Hey, ski hills are open there. And you gotta think that everyone associated with Blue Mountain and Horseshoe and Chicopee and Dagmar are all pretty excited now, because we've got snow squall watches and warnings. People that are not so excited, London getting some pretty nasty weather right now, and we've got OPP Sergeant Dave Rector coming up. He'll be telling us about conditions there as snow. Clearly, green earlier on, rain, now it's all snow coming off Lake Huron, up towards Kincardine and Goderich, Grand Bend, around the Barrie region and over towards Beaverton. Doesn't look like there's much happening in Alliston right now. Traffic's steadily picking up. Chrissy will be here with the latest on your commute. That's just a few minutes away. 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, widespread. Forecast through Tuesday. And of course, the big question, I know a lot of you want to know, am I going to be getting snow? How about Toronto and how about Hamilton? Here's the deal. The winds will be strong enough, northwesterlies, to bring in some good bands off Georgian Bay. especially off Lake Huron. There is the chance, the further north you are in the GTA, the better the chance that you'll be getting into a little snow and maybe a couple of centimeters. Places like Newmarket, high terrain across the Oak Ridges Moraine. Dealing with weather that didn't look much different to this. Lake Nipissing really blowing a gale on Sunday, and that's the cold air that's coming our way. Forecast temperatures this evening, or overnight, I should say. Thankfully, this is overnight, not evening time. But look at that, -5 for Hamilton, feeling like -11. And if you're fond of St. Catharines, as I know Chrissy is, coming up in just a moment, it's going to be cold tonight across the Niagara region, which means the ice wine harvest can't be far away. See, there's always a positive. Cold air. Good news for the ski hills as we start to think about that season. By next weekend, we'll be back to seasonal, more normal temperatures, double digits. But for now, very cold, 2 degrees, feeling like -3 for tomorrow, and the chance of some snow tonight for many in southern Ontario. It gets a good grip on Ontario, on Canada in general by now, and it is happening today. You know, if we look at the radar here, blue is snow, rain is in green, and I'll zero in on southern Ontario, and you can see that a lot of that rain has been replaced by snow. Are you ready? I'll tell you who is ready. We'll go to London right now. Shocking to see the snow coming down here. We're joined now by OPP Sergeant Dave Rector. What's the latest? Seems like winter's come. Thank you very much, sir, for your update. Sergeant Dave Rector from the OPP in London. Drive slow if you see snow. That is the best advice. Extra stopping room. Give yourself time and other drivers time to get reacquainted. Snow is coming down around Collingwood. It's going to be switching over towards Barrie and Alliston and Cookstown and maybe even Newmarket. You're under a snow squall watch. When? For tonight. And as you saw on the radar, it's happening. It's quite imminent. Cold temperatures are moving in. 5+ centimeters of snow. Will we get snow in the city of Toronto and Hamilton? Quite possibly a little bit of wet snow tonight as the wind chills dig in and as the isobars on the map tomorrow show. That's wind, Chrissy. That's wind and cold. It is moving in as we change gears now.
Yeah, Suzanne, and we all know that is the recipe for a messy drive on the roads. If you're heading north of the GTA, as you were saying, as you head through Barrie and all those areas, you're going to want to take some extra time.
4:45. Are you ready? Did you miss our little chat with OPP Sergeant Dave Rector from London, Ontario? It is snowing to beat the band in London, Ontario right now, and this front is slicing through the GTA. Markham has changed over to snow. So if you're joining us from Thornhill, Richmond Hill, Stouffville, Uxbridge, chances are you're seeing some snow right now, and if you're not, it is imminent. Certainly in the North End, there are squall watches and warnings. Grand Bend, London getting hit now. The Barrie region, the winds are going to be switching around, and we'll see that colder air becoming more entrenched. There's a little bit of dry air right now, just in between Barrie and Collingwood, up through Wasaga Beach. Not seeing any big squalls right now, but they're filling in, coming down towards Shelburne and Orangeville and Kitchener in the next little while. Still raining in Ottawa. Toronto shows green on the radar, but as I mentioned, Markham, which is Highway 7, 407 corridor, seeing some snow right now. 5 to 15 centimeters of snow, generally speaking. The winds are going to be out of the northwest. The air mass that's left behind this cold front is going to be fairly dry. So we're seeing a mixture right now, mostly frontal precipitation, but through the overnight tonight, the winds will dig in, the drier air coming across these waters, and there's a huge temperature gradient or difference between the lake water and the air above it. So we're going to get some really well organized squalls settle in. Now, we've had some snow in many other parts of the country, and we've got a little bit of a warm up coming tomorrow. And as the atmosphere balances itself, well, let's see now. If Alberta's warming up in the prairies, what about Ontario? You guessed it. The Arctic vortex, which is starting to take hold, or polar vortex, up around Hudson Bay, it's settling this cold air mass coming in to southern Ontario, so much colder temperatures. Now that polar vortex is kind of like a cap, if you will, of cold air around the pole, and sometimes it tilts down towards Russia, sometimes towards Europe, sometimes towards Canada. It's not the same thing as our Hudson Bay vortex, which we sometimes talk about, but the bottom line, cold Arctic air is coming our way until late week. Ottawa, Kingston, Brockville, that corridor, still seeing some rain, but along the 401 through the GTA, it is right on the doorstep. Suzanne Leonard with the team here. If you see snow, go slow. That's what the OPP are telling people. We joined Sergeant Dave Rector a little earlier on from the London area, and if I zero in on London, you can see that that's the blue, that's the snow. It's fairly light around the GTA, but Markham's changed over. Pearson's now mixing rain and snow together. The winds have moved northwesterly in the GTA. St. Catherine's not northwesterly yet, so the cold front has not fully come through, but it's coming. And the wind's going to pick up tonight. The temperature's going to go down, and snow squalls are going to set up. So even though it might be fairly quiet around Barrie, Cookstown, and Collingwood right now, you are under snow squall warnings coming down quite heavily in the southwest. That could be 10 or more centimeters of snow there. And snow around the GTA for many, Chrissy, as we look at the front and then the lake effect.
Well, I guess 'tis the season, Suzanne. It's certainly something we expect this time of year. Also seen that fill in right over into Burlington. Just the typical drive so far. Luckily, even with the wet weather, Suzanne, it's really not been too bad of a commute so far.
But things are going to dig in a little bit more tonight, aren't they? That cold air is going to pour down into southern Ontario. Notice the isobars packing together, suggesting a lot of wind. And while temperatures will go up in the prairies, the atmosphere balancing itself out, we're going down. Down in temperatures for daytime highs just above zero for Toronto and sub-zero daytime highs for many parts of southern Ontario. Wednesday, Thursday, notice it gets a little bit milder. We'll continue with the traffic and weather watch. 9 million people affected and thousands looking for shelter, aid, water, basics. The story in the Philippines continues to unfold and is our top international story. We thank you for joining us. I know you've been getting updates there. You need your weather update now. And as we look across the continent, you can see big sweeps of low pressure east and west. Arctic air is moving in. Snow squall watches and warnings. Not all of these areas fully active, but many are already. Take a look at the radar. That's snow pouring down off Lake Huron as the squall set up. We're behind the cold front now in the GTA, and snow has been mixing in at Pearson Airport for close to an hour. So winter reminders, we've been checking in with the OPP. And drive to your skill level, right, Dave? That was another thing that he had mentioned. If you're not comfortable driving in winter conditions, probably best not to. It's just too important to go out there and then drive too close, too fast, too slow, or not have the right equipment. Top up the windshield wiper fluid. Make sure you got your scraper. Make sure you got good shoes and gloves if you need to hop out of the car at some point if you happen to get stuck or get caught in a situation. Here's a look at the forecast. I want you to absorb that. A good 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, high terrain, Collingwood, Highway 26 going into Barrie. Coming south from Barrie tomorrow morning, it could be very slow. Coming down the 400. Now Newmarket, Sharon, Oak Bridges, lesser amounts the further south you come, but through the Holland Marsh could be some accumulations, and I think we'll be getting reports of accumulations imminently in southwestern Ontario. Goddard's through London, it's been coming down. The other thing that's coming down are the temperatures, and look at this evening and then overnight sub-zero and forecast highs for Tuesday. We should struggle up to +1. That's cold. +1 feeling like -5. We'll get back to more normal temperatures by the end of the week. And there will be flurries at times around the GTA tomorrow, but whiteout conditions are in the forecast outside this right now. Who's in for a messy commute? Well, guess what? Snow is settling in across the GTA. Do we sound excited? Well, we're not excited about you finding it longer to get home, but it's winter season. This is cool stuff. We love snow, right? Well, put it this way, if you don't love snow, the quicker it starts and we get on with winter, the quicker it'll be spring again. All right, snow in blue, rain in green. We're not seeing much rain left in Ontario. Got reports from some of our viewers that Windsor has changed over to snow, certainly around the GTA. Markham, the north end, was first. Pearson's been mixing with snow for, I said, an hour last time we chatted. It's probably closer to a half an hour, but I got excited. Still getting a cold rain in Ottawa, and as we zoom in, you can see there's far more blue on this radar than there is green. That's the sign that the cold front's moved in. We've seen the wind switch to the northwest in many areas. The colder air is imminent, and the winds are going to pick up and drive in some really nasty driving conditions, easily 5 centimeters or more, and in the darker blues, 10, and white, 15 plus. Chrissy, what a mess. The commute could be for some areas tomorrow. As far as the GTA commute, now and then tomorrow morning, Barrie south, I'm thinking this could be a real slow area.
For sure, Suzanne. It's definitely going to be a bit of a tricky drive, luckily so far. But again, it has been relatively problem-free, Suzanne. And of course, a lot of people did have the day off, being Remembrance Day.
Riding the jet stream, the colder air is coming in to follow Remembrance Day and Veterans Day in the U.S. Thanks, Chrissy. Isobars packing together. That means a cold northerly wind, not system snow, but those whiteout conditions, you know, those local whiteout conditions. That's what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. Highway 26, Highway 21, Lake Huron, Georgian Bay. As our temperatures go down, they go up in the west. And although squalls should ease up into Wednesday, it's still going to be unsettled. Well, let's see now. See if you can find arm curl on the west coast and coming through Ontario, and man, are those temperatures going down tonight. Whiteout conditions. If you're just joining us, the squalls have been coming in off Lake Huron today, and they'll be intensifying off Georgian Bay tonight. Briefly, Toronto Pearson had a rain snow mix, got us all excited, charged up. Markham had a brief bit of snow, but as you can see, we are in this little dry bubble now around the, well, parts of the GTA and around the city of Toronto, certainly, and up through Newmarket and Cookstown. Yep, no problems now, but snow all around. A reminder, you need to adjust your driving habits. You need to adjust your thinking as well. Well, let's check in with the OPP. Great words of advice. And although this isn't a storm per se, snow squalls can be like blizzards. They can look like a blizzard. It can feel like it when you're in it. So if you're not comfortable driving in those conditions, take your tip from the OPP.